Welcome to another episode of the Alamo City Sportscast with Mike Jimenez and Joe Garcia. Make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. Join the discussion as we broadcast live from beautiful West San Antonio. And remember to tip your hosts as it helps the show grow.
What's up, San Antonio? What's up, South Texas? This is the Alamo City Sportscast coming at you literally from West Bexar County today at my home. Got John Dyer, you know him as Spurs and Salsa.
Yes, sir.
On Twitter and also on Facebook as well. I am clean shaven. You were disappointed when you walked in the house.
I was.
You're disappointed because I got up this morning. I said I would have 2 weeks worth of beard come out. And I even posted a video for MCS General Contracting yesterday on Twitter, and people were making fun of the beard. And the weird thing is, all my guy friends hated it. A lot of the ladies in my life liked it.
Well, let them keep it.
But dude, here's the thing, man. I'm in finance, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have not had one sale in the last 2 weeks, and I kind of feel like I'm being triggered by the facial hair.
You look too creepy?
A little bit. They
don't trust you with the hair.
Now, typically we do this at Joe's studio, but Joe is in the middle of a job interview right now. So Department of Homeland Security, he's mentioned it a few times on air. So he had the time zones messed up. He said that he'd be willing to meet at a certain time, and they agreed, but the time zone was different.
Oh,
so he's like, it's in the middle of the show. I'm like, well, I can just do the show from home. Gave you a call, and I was like, John, you live in the neighborhood. Literally, we live a couple of minutes from each other.
Yes, sir.
So let's swing on by. Let's talk some sports. Let's talk some pop culture and nostalgia. Again, we're going to go for about an hour and 15, hour and a half. You never know. You never know. You can take part in the show by being part of our chat, and we'll play the best ones as well. People reaching out, even Spurnand reaching out because, like you, is Exit 7 saying Dyer.
Yeah, Jimenez is my boy since second grade.
Yes, exactly. And people are saying that I have cochinos on behind me. No Channel 99, no Channel 41, none of that going on. And Mario come out and saying the ladies like the scruff. They do, but do my clients like the scruff? That's the thing. It's all about the W-2s and 1099s for me, man. You make fun of me for that online all the time.
That's because you brought it up to UTSA students. You were in a fight with UTSA students.
No. So let's relive that story, okay?
That's where it came from.
Okay, so because I think you have it twisted there, the whole thing that happened there.
Okay.
I don't mind if somebody badgers me on Twitter, right? I mean, I am the piñata for San Antonio when it comes to being badgered, okay?
I like taking swings, yeah.
And I don't mind it. I think a lot of it's fine. But some of them get mean-spirited. And if I tell somebody to kind of like lay off a little bit, just lay off. You know, I mean, like it's all, if it's fun in games, great, right? But if somebody was being extremely mean-spirited, like this little schmuck was, I had an issue with it, right? And then he started calling me a loser, and I was like, "Am I a loser? What the hell are you talking about?" Then he was making fun of me losing, being laid off because I refused to take a 40% pay cut at San Antonio Sports Star. He was going after me about that, and I was like, "What the hell?" And then I kind of said, last I checked on my my W-2s and 1099s, I'm not that much of a loser here in San Antonio. And he goes, well, I'm 23 years old, so, you're in your 40s. And I said, well, when I was 23, I was already a news reporter and producer in San Antonio on a TV station and all that stuff. So if you want to compare your 23-year-old self to 23-year-old me back then, you're the loser.
Well, what was the topic? Wasn't it UTSA you were giving them crap about their fans?
Oh, was that the original part of the topic?
Yes,
and very much so. We had, former UTSA quarterback Frank Harris on, who even admitted that even the fan crowds could have been better out there. He did not push back on that. I said student section does a fantastic job. End zones, fantastic job. But once you get to the 20, 30, 40, 50-yard line at the Alamo Dome, dude, I mean, it's like a funeral.
Well, that's the older people.
But, dude, I go to other games. You go to UT, DKR. I go to Tiger Stadium in Baton Rouge. Guess what? 20, 30, 40, 50 is where the action's at, even though it is the older crowd.
I would say this. I think UTSA needs more students to go to games. I don't think the problem so much is all the alum and just sports fans in general, because they make up like 80% of the attendance. I think the students, and they're probably going to bash me. They always bash me when I say this. I think the students need to step up. Students are the rowdiest at college events. You just need more of those.
That is true. We need more students, need more out there.
But it is hard because it's not on campus. It's different.
It is different, and that's kind of my
another hot
issue.
topic. I don't want to get too much in it, but I know at every other college, most students live around campus and they grab a 6-pack and walk to the stadium.
I mean, it's a 30-minute drive from the Alamo Dome
to
where the UTSA proper is. Jeff Garcia from Locked On Spurs says you can see the final day of evil Mike Jimenez on today's Los show.
Is that what he's calling
Locked On
evil?
Spurs? Yes, like evil Abed.
Community?
Yeah, for community. Okay, so I woke up this morning and I just said I would go 2 weeks, right? Now, this all started because I went on vacation to Nashville for about 4 days, and I had shaved the day before, but I forgot my razor. And I wasn't going to go buy one out there. I was like, oh, I'm on vacation.
There you go. Get your cowboy hat.
Yeah, so 5 days into it, looking for the girl who did the hot tour, but she wasn't around. She was actually in Nashville.
She's super famous now.
The same intersection I was at. Yeah, she's super famous. It's crazy. Her parents must be very proud. But I'm out there, and I came back home, and it was 5 days, and I had a little stubble going on. You know, Michael Jackson, George Michael, 1988, Faith.
You felt those
going on.
Manly?
Yeah, I was like, you know what? Let me let this go out a little bit. I don't have any client meetings coming on. You know, let me just go ahead and do this. And it just started to grow. And then it was 1 week, and then it became a week and a half. And I show up, you know, for a luncheon at my parents' house, and my parents are looking at me going, "Where's my son?" Really? They said I started looking like a terrorist, whatever that means, right? And but I'm going out with my friends. Some of them are female friends and whatnot, and they're like, "We really like it." So I had this whole thing going on. I had 2 sisters who liked it and 2 who hated it. It was like in my life there was like team stubble beard, team no, and I woke up this morning and I just said, you know what? I'm going to make it a goatee. Turned it into a goatee, got it all straightened out, all that, and it looked ridiculous.
Did it really?
I am not a goatee guy, so I was forced to take it all off. But what I think I'm going to do is just shave once a week, so that at the end of the week, I get the 5 o'clock shadow, weekend and whatever, but then go back to work on Monday morning, clean shaven.
So you're trying to live in both worlds, right? You're trying to be clean shaven Monday through Thursday. But then when you hit the bars,
exactly,
the ladies like it. Okay.
Yeah, because date night is Friday and Saturday night, and then let's just go ahead and stubble it out then.
That's not your worst plan. I'm not kidding. That's pretty good.
Yeah, you know, so Sam Flynn is saying the goatee was a mistake. Got to let the whole thing grow. I wanted to see what it would look like, and I looked at it, and I was like, oh my god, I look like the evil character from a movie I've never seen, which I believe is Superman 3. The guys with the beards is Superman.
Yes.
I want to say that was Superman 3. Never seen the movie, but I do know the photo of it all. But I had to get rid of it, man. I had to get rid of it. But rest in peace, the beard. It's 2 weeks, man. It lasted 2 weeks. But so what are we talking about today?
You had an interesting Spurs draft conundrum.
It is a conundrum. I like that, you know, because I was thinking about this the other day. And then Don Harris from News 4 San Antonio WAI, San Antonio legend when it comes to sports anchoring here, had a tweet today that startled me a little bit because it was actually the biggest fear that I have. And I wonder if there's smoke, there's fire, or if it's one of those things where we're being baited by these teams that are ahead of us. So you have Atlanta, Washington, and Houston ahead of the Spurs. So it's kind of like a worst case scenario for me. What happens if the Spurs have a player fall to them that they don't need? What do you do then? Especially if they're the best player in the remaining in the draft. Do you draft for need or best player available at number 4? Got to talk about the Cowboys. Dak Prescott showed up this week at the tight end camp in Nashville. He was probably looking for the Hawk Tua girl, but she had already gone home. Is him being the good teammate, when you take a look at things like Aaron Rodgers missing the OTAs, when you see Dak Prescott go out there and actively take part, knowing that he doesn't have a deal lined up, knowing that he's entering the final year of his deal, is it making it more comfortable for a Cowboy fan to accept the fact that he's going to be the $60 million guy? And another question I'm going to have for you, John, because you are the Cowboy fan here.
Okay.
What happens if CeeDee Lamb breaks out and breaks a record? What if he breaks Megatron's records this year? What happens then? Is that a good thing or a bad thing? We'll talk some pop culture as well. Again, you can be part of the stream. By the way, we're 900 and 16 subscribers strong. We picked up 2 yesterday, 916, making the march to 1,000. But man, how have you been doing? I know you've been starting a business, man.
That's right. I'm starting a home inspection business. I actually got my license yesterday. So
congratulations.
Thank you. I'll be launching next week. I'll be, promoting myself on Twitter, Facebook, all that. So if you follow me, you'll see it. And if you don't, go ahead and follow me at Spurs and Salsa or at John Dyer on Facebook. Very
cool. Very cool. Midtown Texas reaches out to us and says, if she ain't hot to her, I don't talk to her. I like it. Now, Handle the Fist comes out and says Spurs need everything. So let's talk about that, because Don Harris from News 4 San Antonio, who, by the way, in the 90s, he was kind of mean to me back in the 90s. He was a young sports anchor. I was a producer at KSAT. He wasn't the nicest guy, but later on in life, he and I got along. And it's kind of weird. I ran into him at a Missions game a while back, and he told me that he liked my radio show and all that stuff. And we started connecting, and we started talking to each other. And every time we'd see each other at events, Spurs games or whatnot, we'd go and say hi. So I will now say that Don Harris is my boy. Okay. Wasn't my boy early on, but he is my boy.
Did you try flexing your W-2 early on?
I think his W-2 is better than mine.
But maybe that's why he didn't like you. Maybe that's why he didn't like you when you were 23.
I was trending upwards. Yeah, is what it was.
He's like, this kid brings his W-2 everywhere he goes.
But Don Harris from News 4 San Antonio tweeted out earlier today, for what it's worth, NBA execs are saying that Alex Sarr may be sliding and that Castle could go number 1 to Atlanta, but scares other teams because of poor shooting. Saloon stock is rising after great workouts. Same for Jacobi Walter out of Baylor, who could vault into the top 5. Crazy draft. Anybody's guess about the only lock is Shepherd at number 3 to Houston.
Which I see.
If Castle went number 1 overall, that is the worst case scenario for me as a Spurs fan. Not because I want Castle. Yes, I do want Castle at 4. Okay, if I had, if it went the way that the mock drafts have been saying, Reece Arshea, Sarr number 1 or 2, Reed Shepherd at 3, I would want Castle at 4 because I think that he's already NBA ready, 6'6", 6'6.5". He's a lockdown defender, can lock down the 1, 2, and 3. Still growing. His shot doesn't look broken. It's just not going in. He just needs to be tweaked. So I like Castle, right? And it just makes sense to me to go, okay, well, we take Castle at 4, and then we just move on. But if Castle goes 1, and then you see something weird happen at 2, right? Where, if you look at Vegas odds right now, Donovan Clingan out of UConn now has 5-1 odds of going number 1 overall. So if Castle or Clingan go 1, Reece Arshea goes 2, Reed Shepherd goes 3. Now we're sitting there Wednesday night, draft night, with Alex Sarr, 7-foot center from Perth, out of France, available. Do the Spurs take Alex Sarr, even though they don't necessarily need him? Because if we have a need for point guard and a slasher, we need a 1 and a 3. But if the best center in the draft, who conceivably could have gone number 1 overall, and most mocks had him going number 1 overall, if he slides to 4, what do you do?
Now, I got 2 completely different thoughts on this. One, you always draft best available in the NBA because there's 5 guys on the court. The star players make a huge difference. In the NFL, you might have to draft for need because there's 22 positions, right?
Right.
In the NBA, if you land a star or just best player available, it helps you tremendously. But Sarr would make Wemby move back to the 4 in theory, right?
Right.
And there's trains of thought, and I want to see comments. Do you like Wemby at the 4 or the 5?
Well, yeah, that's a very good point. That JHSB says, don't take him. Don't take him. But it's the value pick.
Yeah.
That might be something where you hold on to that and you trade back because somebody at 6, 7, 8, 9 would be like, I want that guy at 4. I'd be willing to trade some other draft capital for him. Joshua A say trade back. That's a very good point. And others are saying, hey, he's better than Booty Crumbs, which is Zach Collins, right?
But you draft a number 4 player to be your backup center. that's the thing with Mario.
But
yeah, he's better than Collins, but do you want to move Wemby back to 4 in that scenario? I don't, because I think it's this simple. When Wemby was playing the 4, Chet Holmgren was winning Rookie of the Month awards.
right.
When Wemby moved to 5, it was a lock. Wemby just thrived at that position. And I know we're not supposed to be so traditional with 1 through 5, but Wemby looked a lot better at 5. So that's why I always say take best available, but the Spurs' number one priority should be what fits with the alien.
Exactly. A hand of a fist comes out and says, Sarr can be good for our defense to funnel to and let Wemby roam.
But you want Wemby roaming away from the basket when he's the best shot blocker?
Well, the way that I look at it is look at what Minnesota was able to accomplish this year.
Yeah.
They had 2 7-footers in Karl-Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert. And they were able to do things. They had even more length with Kyle Anderson and Anthony Edwards and all those guys. They were they basically dared people to go into the lane because you're going to get swatted. Somebody's going to swat you. What this does, though, is that it makes Sohan have to move up to the 3.
That's not working. But you don't worry about Sohan. Not that I'm done with him, but you don't make a decision with your 4th overall pick on Sohan. You know what I mean?
Right.
You don't think about that.
You don't. But that's the thing is that if you look defensively, if you were to say, Michael, a defensive lineup of Wemby, Sarr, and Sohan on the floor at the same time.
Court, yeah, the front court.
The front court is really good, and on top of that, Devin Vassell is at least decent. He was locked down when he was at Florida State, but not anymore.
Yeah.
But then now, if you get a point guard who's defensive minded, suddenly the Spurs might have something there. What we learned from the NBA Finals was the fact that you needed to have players play both offense and defense, and we saw that with the Celtics when they have Derek White doing his thing, and they've got other players like Porzingis who can play offense and defense, both sides of the ball. How important that is. But this is a doomsday scenario for me because as a Spurs fan, I would not want them to draft Sarr number 4, but if he's available. As a Spurs fan, I wonder how can you actually let him go?
And you know what's crazy? You just threw out a scenario where the Spurs look a lot like Minnesota, right? Which isn't a bad thing. But if they're going into the draft thinking, all right, Wemby's our 5, we need a point guard. We want Castle.
Right.
And then the 3 picks in front of them, do they completely change their philosophy of how they want their roster to look?
Mm-hmm.
Because it would. If they took Sarr, they would steer towards Minnesota. But they'd have to make that decision on the fly.
Yeah.
Right? Because right now, in theory, in this scenario, right now they're looking at Castle like, all right, he's our point guard. He's going to, be a great defender. He's going to facilitate well. This is how our roster is taking shape around Wemby. He gets drafted, and now you're flipping within, 20 minutes? They're on the clock, and now they got to shuffle their roster to look like Minnesota.
It's a wait what moment.
Yeah.
Like what happened? I'm sure they're going to think about it beforehand.
We are. They're way smarter than us.
Yeah, but at the same time, you look at it and you think to yourself, what is likely, what is, 2% chance, 5% chance, but that 2% chance, 5% chance seems to be growing. And I don't know if it's because they're trying to rattle cages to try to get the Spurs to bite on a trade up.
I think so.
Jonathan Givony of ESPN saying that the Spurs trading their 4 and 8 or trading the 4 and another pick down the road to move into the number 1 and 2 spot to get their guy is very, very possible. But you were telling me before the show started, you were like, man, I love this draft.
It's fun.
Because you don't know what's going to happen Wednesday night.
Yeah.
Like we don't know. The name Jacobi Walter was brought up by Don Harris. That is a name that you keep hearing. You're hearing these names of, man, when we get this guy in the gym, he's working out very well. You hear names like Jacobi Walter do well. Reed Shepard apparently has tested well to the point where everyone's mock draft has Reed Shepard going 3 to Houston.
Yeah, if you're a Spurs fan, just start hating him down.
Yeah.
He's going to Houston, apparently.
He's deceptively quick.
Yeah. He's got a good basketball IQ.
First in the gym, first out, last out of the gym. But I just look at it and I think to myself, there's going to be a name that gets thrown out there that's going to be taken so early. And it might be from the Spurs. It might be the Spurs at 4. Imagine them taking Jacobi Walter out of Baylor. Shooting guard, combo guard. I can see it happening. He fits a lot of the things the Spurs need. And if the Spurs look at this guy and think to themselves, this is our guy, then I guess I'd be okay with it. But ESPN was reporting yesterday that not only did Stephon Castle work out for the Spurs, not only did Devin Carter of Providence work out for the Spurs, they went one-on-one against each other at the Rocket La Cantera. So think about that. When you heard that they battled each other out one-on-one, we already have tape of UConn against Providence.
Yeah.
But they brought them to the Rock to go against each other.
Does anyone else do that?
I don't know, but I'm impressed.
I'm impressed too, because that's such a great idea.
I mean, because is Castle going up? I mean, not Castle. Is Sarr going up against Klingon right now in Atlanta? For the Spurs to go say, all right, first to 11.
Let's see what you got. And it shows, like, are they looking for competitors, right?
Yeah.
And you talked about how fun this draft is. We're talking about what's going to happen 1 through 4 for the Spurs. And then we're going to pick at 8.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a roller coaster. It's going to be a double roller coaster for Spurs fans. As soon as the draft starts, you're looking at who's going the top 3, because we all have our pet cats that we want to fall to us.
Right.
And then as soon as we pick and we're excited or we're angry about what happened, we get right back on the roller coaster because we're waiting till pick 8.
And one of the top picks on Thursday night as well, number 35.
Yeah.
So it's essentially a player that we're going to get that's probably going to be a first round fringe borderline first round talent that would have fallen to the Spurs at 35. It's going to be a fun night. It's going to be a fun 2-day period for Spurs fans. You think this is exciting? Wait till 2025 when the Spurs have our own pick, Atlanta's unprotected pick. We have Chicago's top 10 protected pick, and we've got Charlotte's top 14. I'm going to assume that we're going to get 3 because I think we'll get ours, Atlanta's, and Chicago's. The idea of the Spurs trading any of these picks, because ESPN went way out of range the other day, saying that the Spurs are going to trade potentially a 2025 first-round pick, maybe Atlanta, back to Atlanta's in order to move up in the draft. No. We would trade that one to get, DeJounte Murray back, right? Or get part of a Trae Young deal. The Spurs are not going to trade that 2025 pick. In fact, that would be grounds for firing right there, grounds for termination if the Spurs get rid of any of their 2025 draft capital simply to just move up in this draft to get a Reece Shea.
What about Chicago's? It's top. I mean, it's not going to be a top 10 pick. Would you be okay giving up Chicago's pick?
Well, the idea that the 2025 draft is basically 2003 reincarnated. And it's, that was the draft where you had Carmelo, LeBron, Dwayne Wade, Bosh, and
those are all top 10 picks.
Darko, right? But true. But if you look at it in that draft, the people who went 10 would have gone 5 in any other draft, right? Same way about this draft. The people who are going number 3 and 4 right now probably would have gone like 8 last year in the draft. Like if you had Amen Thompson and Oscar Thompson in this year's draft, they'd probably go 2 and 3. Right?
Yeah, but have they? I mean, it's hard to judge drafts in the NBA because you're talking about a bunch of 19-year-olds,
right?
But what you're saying is what most people agree with. I just feel the Chicago picks top 10 protected. If they love somebody, like if they love Reece Shea or Castle, and they say we got to go get them, if they love someone that much and they give up some capital to move up to get them, I'm okay with it because that means they really love somebody. Right.
If you have a thing for a player, go get your guy.
Go get your guy.
We talk about this with the Cowboys. Jerry Jones always falling back. They lucked into Micah Parsons because they wanted J.C. Horn or Patrick Surtain that draft. They lucked into him. They start moving backwards. In the NBA, you can't do that because in football, there's 22 different spots that you got to fill out. In the NBA, 1 superstar can get you to become at least relevant, and 2 gets you into,
especially when you already have one.
Right.
You already have the one.
And look at the importance of it all, because it's a Venn diagram of you need to draft well, you need to have good free agent pickups, and you need to have the occasional trade that works out for you.
Yeah.
I saw this and I posted this on Twitter yesterday, and it made me, if you were a Lakers fan, it would make me throw up a little bit, right?
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
It was saying, if you look at the 2016 and 2017 draft, the Lakers had the number 2 overall pick in both the 16 and 17 draft. The Celtics had the number 3 pick in the 16 and 17 draft. Lakers took Brandon Ingram and Lonzo Ball. the Celtics took Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum.
Yeah. I mean,
that was everything.
It's a crapshoot, but The great thing about the Spurs is they're playing with house money to a degree because they're going to have 2 shots at landing a great player, right? And they've already got their Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
They're trying to land a Pippen, and they have 2 swings at it, which is fun. And this draft is so volatile. Someone that fell, somebody that is in the middle of the draft, someone that, like a Rob Dillingham who's falling for whatever reason just because of his height, he might end up being the best player. This draft is so crazy. And most drafts are because, again, they're a bunch of 18, 19-year-olds. But the Spurs are playing with house money because they're not looking for Jordan. They're looking for Pippen. And they got 2 swings at it. And if it doesn't work out, they got 3 swings next year. But if they see a Pippen that they are like, that's the guy, Risa Shea or whoever they're in love with, and they have the capital, they have all this capital, go get them.
Well, I've been mentioning,
if they do.
I've been mentioning this on the show the past week or so. I asked the question, who's going to be Rookie of the Year next year? It ain't going to be Sarr. It ain't going to be Risa Shea. It's going to be a player who's going to be able to plug and play out the gate. So some of these players out there are projects. Risa Shea is a project. I mean, dude, when I saw his combine numbers, he had a 25-inch vertical. 25, a running vertical of 32.
Yeah.
Right? And then they say, like Kenny Pickett, super small hands for a forward of his size. It's kind of weird. But the idea that Risa Shea is going to be able to come in and throw in 25, 30 minutes is not going to happen. I'm not saying that they're going to send him to Austin, but he's going to be at the end of the bench for a while, and they're going to have to build him up. He's not going to be a plug-and-play kind of guy. Spurs draft Risa Shea, Spurs draft Sarr. They're not going to be Rookie of the Year, no matter if the Spurs drafted them number 1 overall and traded up for them.
Yeah.
The players that are ready to play right now are going to be the ones most likely drafted 3 and beyond. I mean, Reed Shepherd, he has a skill set where he's going to be able to get minutes. He might not get a ton of minutes because they're guard heavy over there, but he's going to be ready to play. Stephon Castle might be Rookie of the Year next year simply because he's ready to go.
Yes.
He's an NBA player ready to go. He's Drew Holiday. He's ready to go. Just throw him out there. If his shot improves a little bit, even better, but he's ready to go. Donovan Klingen's ready to go. He's ready to play in the NBA. Devin Carter, 3 years of college. He's ready to go. But the problem with this draft, though, is that it's not like last year's draft where you knew that Wemby was going to be able to go out there, win Rookie of the Year, or the year before where it was, years before it was John Morant, or whether it be Chet Holmgren, who had his rookie season last year. You look back at some of these guys, they were ready to go. The top 2 or 3 prospects in this draft, they got to be marinated for 2 or 3 seasons somehow.
So when you talk about ready to go, do you lean towards European players now because they're playing pro ball?
They are playing pro ball. And they're playing bully ball over there. FIBA basketball, they beat you up.
So Risa Shea, I know you said you don't think he'll be ready to go, but he's playing big boy ball right now.
He is playing big boy ball. He averaged a little bit more than 10 points per game, 35% shooter from 3. The lower level before, he was shooting 50% from 3, which is amazing. I think it'd be easier to get him up to speed, but when I say that he's not ready, I don't think he's ready October, November, December. I think it's going to be one of those things where they will start putting him into the lineup more often and trusting him more around the rodeo road trip.
Okay. What about Alex Sarr? Is he plug and play, great defender next to Wemby?
Well, they're going to have to justify the amount of money that they're paying Zach Collins. $16 million a year beginning the season.
Yeah, but you don't make a decision on Zach Collins.
You're
trying to get Leon mad.
I'm just saying. It's going to be weird if Sarr is taking.
Well, he's already on the bench.
To an extent, Collins doesn't play well with Wemby. He doesn't fit with him very well. And you look at the Spurs roster right now. I don't know who does play well with him. Even Devin Vassell struggled. Devin Vassell.
It took a while.
It took him till the rodeo road trip to finally realize, wait a minute, I'm not the alpha of this team. He wanted to take the game-winning shots, and everyone was like, dude, that's not your job anymore. Yeah. It's not your job. It is your job to take the bucket when you got the bucket. But the last 2 months or so, before he got hurt to end the season, Devin Vassell seemed to be a little bit more willing to look to know his role.
Yeah,
that's why Spurs fans are excited about. Some Spurs fans are about Trae Young, because Trae Young knows that
anybody coming now knows their role, right? That's whoever we draft on Wednesday, whether it's 2 players, 5 players, they all know that they're coming to complement Wemby.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Rob Dillingham has been campaigning for the job to the point where some people think he's tanking his own stock just to.
Chris Layout coming out saying Trey Jones is the second unit point guard. That's his ceiling.
I agree 100%.
JHNSB saying half the draft is better than Trey Jones. Just replace him already. Joshua says if we get Castle and a small forward, it's a W.
I agree with that too.
I agree also. In a perfect world, Castle would fall to 8, but he ain't.
No,
He ain't.
Yeah.
You know, he's
at 4.
He's testing well. JHNSB saying Mamu plays well with Wemby. Actually passes to him too. But you know what? Mamu has a ceiling that is not very high.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a great little, let's put him in there, second string kind of guy. His ceiling is not there, man. And I understand that they have the rapport, but have a rapport with a player who has a higher ceiling, please. That's basically
what. So we're talking about. I know a lot of people want the Spurs to draft a wing and a point guard, right? Because those can slide into, in theory, the starting lineup.
Mm-hmm.
Would you be okay if they drafted 2 guards?
Yes.
And one's a 6-man?
Yes.
Like a Devin Carter, right?
Devin Carter. If you got me Devin Carter and
Castle, you're good?
I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good. It's one of those things that if those are NBA players, high basketball IQ.
Yeah.
You know, and there's something to be said about high basketball IQ that even if you don't jump out of the gym, because as you mentioned, we don't need to have the steak. We have the main course. We just need the side pieces, right? Mm-hmm. You look at Boston and how they were able to win. I would argue that Kyrie and Luka are just as good, if not better, than Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum.
They're better.
Okay.
You don't have to argue that. They're both better.
But it's the complementary pieces. Yeah. The high IQ of Drew Holiday and Derek White is what won it. Mm-hmm. It was them doing the dirty work. It was them being able to play combo guard, bring the ball up, play point guard the point guard the big guy. They brought a defensive knowledge. It was a workman attitude. They knew their roles. Yeah. I honestly think if you give me, this is my perfect draft.
Okay.
My perfect draft is Stephon Castle at 4, and you give me Carter, Walter, Jacobi Walter, Devin Carter, or you give me Cody Williams from Colorado, J-Dub's brother.
You don't like Rob Dillingham? I think what I like about Dillingham.
Dude, I saw Dillingham mock draft yesterday saying that he would go to Oklahoma City.
I know.
He would drop to like 12 and OKC would get him.
What I like about Dillingham, so let's say you take Castle with your 4th pick. He's your starting point guard day 1. Dillingham in this scenario would be your 6-man. You don't have to worry about him guarding, because everybody's worried about his height. He's on this team to score points off the bench. And he can shoot like he's a walking bucket already.
Yeah.
I just think he would thrive in that 6-man role. I like Devin Carter too. I'm good with either of those, but it's crazy because Dillingham before a month ago, Dillingham was rumored to be in the top 4, top 5. And now because of his height, he's fallen all the way to your point. You saw him at 12.
I don't think the height so much as the weight.
The weight?
Weighs $161.
You remember when Wemby was going to get bullied because of his weight, and then he went out there and
but
Wemby
can offset that with the fact that he's 7'4".
But I'm saying in the paint, like he was able to get physical.
I mean, it's not the 80s and 90s is what you're saying.
Yeah.
He's not going to be a pinball just bouncing all over the place.
And none of these guys are that big. I mean,
but I look at it, and I want to get to Leha's comment in a second. So I'm going to keep that locked and loaded, ready to go. But it's funny because I'm like, what is the ceiling for Rob Dillingham? I'm a fan.
6-man of the year.
Don't get me wrong. I'm a fan. Kemba Walker is who I see when I see him play. Like Kemba Walker is just a running bucket. Like he's just running all over the place, and it's just one of those things where it might be small, but he finds a way. He finds a way to the lane. He's a good passer, good vision, high basketball IQ, all that stuff. He's just a defensive liability.
That's why
Reed Shepard's going to go 3, because Reed Shepard might be just a few inches taller, sharpshooter, yes, but average 2.5 steals in college. He has a defensive skill set that Dillingham doesn't have. Dillingham, to me, is, you're almost describing Patty Mills. Maybe worst case scenario, he's Patty Mills. Maybe best case scenario, he's Kemba Walker.
You wouldn't want a Kemba off the bench?
I would love a Kemba off the bench, but I think that's a really high expectation of him. But this also goes into play is that it's not only the player, but it's also the place where they go.
Yeah.
We're seeing this with Scoot Henderson last year when he went number 3 overall. He went to a place where he wasn't needed. We were seeing this in Detroit with all the point guards that they have over there, Cade Cunningham and Ivy and all those guys. Are like, there's only one ball, only one point guard position, unless you're going to do what Dallas does. But they're not Kyrie and Luka, where you can justify it. This is so insane. And the idea that Alex Sarr at 7 foot from Perth, from France, dropping to number 4, and the Spurs looking there going, yeah, we're going to go ahead and take Jacobi Walter over Alex Sarr. That's where I'm a little bit, because Alex Sarr in a lot of mocks and a lot of big boards is number 1. And if the Spurs go get their guy at 4 and are looking at Alex Sarr going, yeah, I know everybody else has you at number 1, but we're going to take where Jacobi Walter, where everyone has at 12, we're going to take him instead.
But I think that would go to what we opened the show with is they see Wemby as a true center. They don't want to pair him with another 7-footer.
Yeah.
I think it'd be more about it wouldn't be so much against Sarr. It'd be more about, well, he doesn't fit with Wemby. And there's people, there's other podcasters that think, hey, Spurs should get another center.
Mm-hmm.
They should pair Wemby with a big. So I kind of want Sarr to follow us because I want to see their philosophy. I don't, but I do. It would just show us what they see Wemby long term,
right,
and what they want to pair him with. Because again, you always take best available, but in this case for the Spurs, you do that, but you also take what fits with the alien. That's your main objective.
At the end of the day, that's what it is. Yeah. And if you have to get draft capital and move back to make it happen, I want the Spurs to get their guy at 4, and whoever they get at 8 is basically Jerry Jones' mindset of, hey, man, if we like 3 of these guys, like if we're sitting here at 8 and Dillingham and Jacobi Walter and Cody Williams and Ron Holland are still there, I wouldn't mind them going back to 11 or 12 and telling.
Have they worked out any wings? I've seen nothing but guards.
Research Shea.
That's right. And they've scouted him like crazy all year.
And as brought up, David Otwater saying that there's rumors, and I saw the rumor online
that Dilly's here.
That Dilly is here in town to be worked out. So the Spurs are going to do their due diligence when it comes to it. Dillingham, he's going to need to gain weight somehow, some way.
Yeah. I just like him. If he's coming off the bench, everything we talk about isn't as big of a deal.
Right.
If you say, hey, you're the 6th man, your job is to get buckets when you get on the court for 20 minutes a game. And he does that. I think he could thrive in that role. But it's telling that the Spurs are looking at a lot of guards. I think Spurs fans, you should prepare yourself for them to take 2 guards in this draft.
And I wouldn't mind it. Now, there's a website called Hoops Hype, by the way, that tells you who every single team has worked out so far. The problem is that this list right here is a couple of days old, so there might have been some workouts most recently. But according to Hoops Hype, the Spurs have worked out Zachary Sarche. We've seen that. They've had Devin Carter going one-on-one with Stephon Castle.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the guys that the Spurs are having in San Antonio might be second rounders. It might be players that, that point guard from Houston is somebody that the Spurs have worked out as well. Somebody they haven't worked out, Bronny James. If the Spurs at 48, 47, wherever they're drafting in the second round,
it's worth a shot.
You'd be okay with it.
Yeah. That's another storyline in this draft is because Bronny James isn't NBA ready.
Right.
But he's also, I think his agent said he won't sign a 2-way deal where he goes to the G League. So he's basically holding you hostage for his dad. The Lakers, do they just have to do it? They have to draft him in the second round?
They have the number 55 pick, and I can see it.
And does another team – so the Spurs have, 3 second-round picks?
2 this year.
2 this year.
I think we have 26 over the course of the next 5 years.
The Austin Spurs are going to be so good.
It's going to be amazing.
Be a Does Pop call Bron and say, "Hey, you trust me with Bronny?" And then LeBron loves Pop.
Right.
What does that put LeBron long term, or not long term, but next year?
I mean, does LeBron have a long term with?
That's what I'm saying.
With his age? I mean, he's been around for so long. I look at it this way. I think that the Spurs, if they were entertaining the idea of Bronny, it probably wouldn't happen for the sake that we already have a media circus with Wemby. And it's the juggling of the two media circuses that go along with that.
They don't even like it to begin with. So
now the Spurs, according to Hoop Site, have worked out the following players: Zachary Reese-Sarchet, Reed Shepherd, Stephon Castle, DeJounte Saloon, Nikola Topic, Devin Carter, Rob Dillingham, so they do have him on the list, Jacobi Walter, Tyler Kobeck out of Marquette. And then they have other players who are projected to be in the second rounder. Jamal Sheed being the one from Houston. Just put him down. Spurs are going to get Jamal Sheed. I already know that.
So, looking at the first round, if it's not one of the French wings, they haven't worked out Ron Holland.
No.
They haven't worked out Cody Williams.
That's weird.
They haven't worked out Dalton Connect. They don't like
the big guys.
They only like two wings, and they're in France.
Yeah.
And do they even like them, or were they doing Wemby a solid
by giving him somebody a countryman,
or just saying, "Hey, Wemby, you're high on these guys. We'll give them a shot."
But I mean,
they haven't worked out any other wings.
Saloon and Reese-Sarchet have been in a top level. They're in the same league that he was in. The one play for Chalet. And I remember watching Wemby play against Chalet. It's like I was like, I was that guy. It's funny. Every year I pick up something. This year I picked up WNBA. Last year I was picking up French basketball.
What's next year?
Exactly.
Awesome Spurs.
But again, the draft is going to be next Wednesday. We're going to have a draft party. I'm already looking at a couple places right now. I'm leaning towards Pete's place out there in Helotes, but I want to make sure that it's a good place for the draft because I want to be able to listen to the draft. I don't want it to be on the screen and not hear what's going on. There's nothing worse than going to a game, going to like a Twin Peaks or whatever, and you watch the game, but you can't hear the game.
Yeah.
That pisses me off. But again,
what we need to do, you need to call Pete yourself and tell him.
Oh, I went out there. So there's a woman named Medea that is out there. Alonzo saying Bronny going to get picked up by the Sixers. Book it. Very nice. July 26th, asking the question, you all watching the draft at Marbach, exit 7?
No, my wife tries to steer me away from there now. No more Barton's Boozery or Grasshopper Club.
There was a pool hall that was near Westlakes back in the day, kind of like where Acadiana is.
Oh, Hot Shops.
Yeah, man, that place was a little scuzzy sometimes, man, but I won money doing karaoke there one time.
Look at you.
And
what'd you sing?
I sang.
You're a big Taylor fan.
This was years ago, and this is where I'm going to lose man points. I sang a Creed song.
It's not. I mean, Creed's in fashion right now. The Rangers brought them back to relevancy.
I sang Torn.
Okay, sing some now.
No, I'm good.
No.
Okay. See, karaoke is a buzzman's game. Okay,
it's very much so.
It's called the Goldilocks zone. You can't be too drunk. You can't be too sober. You got to be somewhere in the middle.
I have a friend that does it stone cold sober every time.
That is crazy.
Right?
I mean, that means you were in choir in high school. That's what.
And
that
he
means.
wasn't. He just enjoys it. He'll do Shoot by Salt and Pepper.
Nice.
He just enjoys it.
So I go to this one place called Who's Who, and you have to be very gay friendly there because there's a high population there. Okay, so FYI, I enjoy it. They're good people, but they do what's called karaoke roulette.
Oh, that's fun.
And you walk in there, and instead of telling them what song you want to sing, you tell them what genre you want to sing.
They spin the wheel,
and they just basically pop something up.
Well, literally,
like for example, I said 90s rock, and just not knowing. I mean, it could be Green Day, it could be Metallica, it could be Offspring, it could be whatever. And you go up there, 90s rock, and then all of a sudden a collective soul song comes on, and you're like, I never would have sang, this song by Collective Soul, and I cannot believe I know this song, and it's so cool. Like somebody goes up there and goes, a Disney song, please.
Yeah.
Or whatever. I went up there and
What's the safest, you think?
That's hard, man.
I guess wherever your wheelhouse is, right?
Yeah, I and sometimes it backfires, but there was one where I said the Killers, and they, I'm thinking, okay, I know a lot of Killer songs, but they
gave you a deep cut.
Kind of all these things that I've done.
Okay,
which is not a deep cut, but it's not one of their 5 most popular songs. But it's kind of funny, man. It's kind of funny, And I think one time I did STP, and they had me do Cracker Man, which was a good one. Which was a good one. Talking to John Dyer, you can follow him on Twitter at Spurs and Salsa. Also, he has that page, Spurs and Salsa, on Facebook as well. Yeah, which is a fantastic page. Every once in a while, especially if we are talking Spurs, I purposefully put myself out there.
I see that.
And I tell people to go ahead and subscribe. 916 subscribers. Everyone's doing their job, hitting the like button as well. It's nice at the end of the day to get the numbers. Yesterday, we had a nice little bump up because we've been doing this on Facebook. We've been doing this on YouTube. We've been doing this on Twitter. And now I would say that pretty much half of our audience is YouTube.
I can see that.
And, we get good numbers on Facebook. We get good numbers on Twitter. It's weird because when you do this podcast, you kind of want to steer people towards YouTube because they actually keep statistics. They keep statistics on the age of the people, the number of minutes that they watch, the average number of minutes, how many new people who are watching. So we steer people to that because whenever it comes to advertising, they want to have stats.
Yeah.
And one of the weird things about it, John, is that, and this goes back to my days over at San Antonio Sportscast. They have different shows out there. We watch shows, and the belief was that you treat the shows like the Weather Channel, or headline news on CNN, where people are only going to listen 15 minutes at a time. So therefore, you keep repeating the same topic over and over and over again. But what was weird was that with this show, the stats on YouTube show that people are watching it cover to cover. Like the average length time of people watching, last I saw, was like 28 minutes.
I think
which is absurd, which is
good.
Different.
So when you click on YouTube, this channel right here, right?
Yeah.
You want to watch an hour or so. You want to listen for an hour.
Right.
Whereas the radio, it's whenever you're in your car.
Right.
So if you're driving, you get off at 5 o'clock. From 5 to 5:30, you're driving home.
Mm-hmm.
Someone gets off at 6. Yeah, you're gonna repeat the topics because somebody new just got into their car driving home. And for those of you looking on YouTube, that's my son on my YouTube.
Yeah, I was wondering how that was.
And he already knows. So my 12-year-old, he just turned 12. He doesn't let me go anywhere without him. So now he's noticing. If you scroll up, he said, "Don't leave me for the draft." But if it's at Pete's place, sorry, son, you're gonna be on your own.
Tim Gonzalez saying, "I need to get the Chevy girls from Camino Real in Los Angeles, California, to be on the show." Are you familiar with the Chevy girls?
What is that?
Okay.
Oh yes, I know what you're talking about.
Okay, I love them.
So you're bringing up TikTok, right?
Yeah.
Was it 2 or 3 weeks ago where you guys were trying to show a video and it showed a girl? You and Joe were having a discussion on whose fault it was that the girl popped up.
Oh yeah.
It's your fault.
How's my fault?
Because I was looking through reels on Instagram, and the girl came up, the same one that popped up on yours.
Yeah.
And it showed that you follow her.
Which one?
The one where you and Joe, y'all were trying to pull something up sports related, but it came up that girl first, and y'all were like, "Well, that's your account."
Okay. Well, first of all. It was Joe's account. I don't use his computer.
But when she came up on my Instagram, it said that you follow her.
But that's great. That's great. I the big booty girls, I will follow the occasional big booty girl. And for someone who says that they don't, they're lying.
They're lying.
Okay.
What's funny is Instagram tells you.
You have an algorithm, right? Yeah.
Well, Instagram will say, "Oh, it'll tell you what friend of yours."
Right. Well, and there's a reason why.
Funny.
There's a reason why the Haktua girl popped up, because they knew that I would like something like that, right?
It steered you to Haktua.
Yeah. And by the way, we spoke about Haktua on this show on Monday, which shows to you that I'm at the forefront of pop culture. You know what I'm saying? Because it became a thing like 2 days later, and I'm like, no, I saw that. I thought that was funny. Yeah. And I went with that.
I knew she was going to be big. I knew she got big because Facebook is usually the last to see things.
It is.
I saw her yesterday. I saw a friend of mine, sharing a meme. And then, the Rewatchables podcast?
Yes.
They have a really active Facebook page. And then yesterday, someone was talking about her, and I was like, oh, it's over for that girl.
Yeah.
She is famous now.
Yeah, it went from the TikTok culture
Twitter
to now the middle-age culture of it all.
Now Grandpa knows about her.
Yeah, I saw the meme yesterday of she Haktua'd on Texas with a storm. It shows like the coastline and her face going Haktua. That was great.
You remember Super Troopers?
Yeah.
When he orders a burger?
Mm-hmm.
I saw a meme where it says, I got a burger for a cop, and then it shows her. That was the one on the Rewatchables page.
And for those of you who don't know, there was a young lady who was walking the streets of Nashville, which is the Broadway and 6th Street over there is what they said this was. By the way, there's going to be a new video of her released today because apparently they only released a snippet on TikTok. Apparently there was a whole interview where she was acting a fool.
Okay. And
that's going to be released today by that company that did it.
Is she more famous than the girl on the airplane that was like, he's not real?
Oh, that's a very...
Who's bigger?
Okay, first of all, the girl who says, that motherfucker over there ain't real. Okay, first of all.
She's in Houston, right? Or Texas?
Texas, yeah. Wow, that's a great question.
Who's more famous?
I have no answer for that.
Who's going to be... We gotta give Haktua more time to live.
It depends because I see all those shirts saying Haktua 2024. Mm-hmm. I'm seeing hats and T-shirts about her, and then the memes coming out saying the fact that everybody knows who this woman is, knows that she's being it's true.
Is she at home and she's just like, dang it?
Because apparently she lives in Nashville. So she was a local who went clubbing.
So they do that all the time, right? They have people on cameras asking those.
Dude, when I was in Nashville, though, I did see people doing those man on the street interviews.
You didn't jump on there?
No, I did. They were going to
imagine with this little scruffy beard.
They were going to ask the 47-year-old, hey, what sexual position do you like? The one that doesn't hurt my back. Okay, that's the answer to that one.
Hey, if you go viral in a week. If it comes up that you did one of those videos.
Oh, no. Well, I've gone locally viral. Well, let's see. When I called San Antonio poor, apparently when I called out Pop one time, that went viral. When I left my dog outside in the rain.
Oh, they're outside right now. The dogs are outside.
Yeah, it's way outside. But they're going to be fine. You know why? They're animals. They're animals. Mario Cavazos, whatever happened to the Catch Me Outside? How about that girl? Oh, she went on to OnlyFans and made millions of dollars on OnlyFans. Who, by the way, who would want to watch her?
I know.
I know
Mario. I bet Mario does.
Mario does?
No,
yeah.
I'm just kidding, Mario. I'm just kidding.
But the World Star. Those are the viral videos of people fighting and stuff like that.
Alonzo said there's a lot in McAllen.
Really?
That'd be interesting.
Remember the jokes about the dog?
That's talking about you. Yeah, his dogs are outside. His dogs are outside.
Duncan and Cody are still outside, man.
There's a roof.
Let's talk some Dallas Cowboys.
There we go.
Okay, because we know that Dak Prescott's entering the final year of his contract. Mm-hmm. We know that Dak Prescott holds all the cards, okay? So if there's 52 cards in the deck, he's holding all 52. He's holding both jokers. He's also holding the little instruction manual on the card he's having. He holds the box when it comes in.
The joker that you throw out, everything.
He holds it all.
The plastic from the box.
He negotiated a deal and was being the good teammate by allowing them to renegotiate his deal year after year after year, pushing everything aside, right?
Yep.
Goes out there, has a no trade clause. It goes out there, has a lot of dead cap space if he goes. It's like 30, 40 million or whatever it is. And he basically has a gun to the head of Jerry Jones, and Jerry Jones is playing chicken with him, and Jerry Jones has no leverage at all. This is the biggest damned if you do, damned if you don't moment for the Cowboys, because if you let them walk, not only do you not have a franchise quarterback, not only does that happen, but then also you have dead cap space, so you can't even replace him. No. So he effectively...
He's a Cowboy next year.
Well, he is this, but for the foreseeable future. And then the price tag. Trevor Lawrence signs a deal to make him. The idea that Trevor Lawrence is the highest paid quarterback now in football. Dak Prescott, runner-up in the MVP vote last year. As a Cowboy fan, before we get into the fact that he was at tight end camp, as a Cowboy fan, what do you want to see the Cowboys do with Dak? And what do you think they're going to do?
They're going to re-sign him. I think it'll happen in Oxnard when they're forced to be together. I don't think Jerry's in a rush. I don't understand why. But I think to him, he's like, okay, deals will get done face-to-face.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'll happen in Oxnard. To your point, first of all, I want to say, because I know a lot of fans talk about that the salary cap isn't real. A lot of media members push that narrative, the salary cap isn't real.
Mm-hmm.
Dak having $45 million in dead cap space next year, regardless if he's on the team or not, that proves that it is real. Now, you can maneuver it, but I hate when media members push the narrative that, oh, the cap's not real. You can move pieces, but it's like a credit card.
Yeah.
You're going to have to pay the bill eventually.
The Saints one time manipulated $65 million of dead cap space in a week. And
it still goes somewhere.
I think the problem that Cowboy fans have is that they look at other teams making moves and wondering, like, what the hell's going on? It's kind of like real life whenever you do fantasy football and you have like the snake draft, which is cool. But for those who are really into fantasy football, they do the auction leagues. You either do one of two things. You have to go after the stars and then fill out the rest with cheaper pieces, or you sit there and let everybody draft and do their thing for a couple of hours while you're at the food tray getting, ranch with some carrot sticks and stuff like that. And that's what Jerry Jones does, and it pisses Cowboy fans off because everyone else is making moves, and you see the Houston Texans just 2.5 hours away making moves, getting Stephon Diggs, Joe Mixon, and on the Daniil Hunter on the defensive side, they're going off and making moves, and you see the Cowboys going, we're losing players.
I think Jerry's philosophy.
And I apologize for saying we. I was saying that in Cowboy fans' perspectives, not a me perspective. Okay.
I think Jerry's philosophy is you draft and develop, and then you pay the premium positions, right?
Mm-hmm.
So right now, the big talk about who's up for contracts are the premium positions: quarterback, star receiver, pass rusher, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would say the fourth premium position would be left tackle. They let that go, which I'm okay with Tyron Smith going because you always had to plan around his 5 games he's going to miss.
Yeah.
And it was just frustrating. You know what I mean? Like, I love Tyron Smith. He'll be probably in the Ring of Honor-ish.
Yeah,
maybe.
So.
But you were always planning around him. It's like having small children and going to a restaurant. All right, did you pack the tablet? How long is the wait? Because he's only going to last this amount of time. With Tyron Smith, it was like, all right, you're going to lose him for 5 games. Do you have a good swinging tackle? What are we going to do when he's gone those 5? So I'm glad they let that go. But I think Jerry didn't do anything in free agency because, one, he's got $45 million in dead cap space with Dak coming up next year. And 2, he's about to pay 3 premium player positions, top dollar. Mario mentioned that I didn't like the CeeDee Lamb pick. The reason I didn't like the CeeDee Lamb pick was they had just traded for and gave a big contract to Amari Cooper.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big believer that the wide receiver position is the easiest position in football to replace because college football is spread offenses. That's why you're seeing 7, 8 first-round receivers every year. It's really easy to replace them.
It's interesting that you mentioned that because it's like the wide receivers have become plentiful in college. The quarterbacks get lower and lower and lower because the quarterbacks are doing it out of a shotgun offense. I mean, there's some quarterbacks that are entering the NFL who have never taken a snap under center.
Mahomes had it, I don't think.
Yeah, and it's just very, very bizarre. Not a lot of Andy Reids out there who are going to be able to look at Mahomes and go, well, we'll make it work.
Yeah.
Because
I think the NFL adjusted to college play. You know what I mean?
More better than before. It's more 50-50.
Yeah.
There's a pro style offense and then there's the spread attack offense. Depends on what team that you're going to go for. And it also depends on the quarterback because, Dak is capable of doing a little bit of both. And when I look at Dak, Dak is so conflicting because he's not worth $60 million, but he's also worth $70 million at the same time.
Yeah,
it's the conflict that I have with Kawhi Leonard and whether or not I want his jersey retired at the Frost Bank Center. I do. He deserves it, but he's also a jackass, so no. But when it comes to Dak, here's what Dak brings to the table. Above average quarterback play. Above average.
Top 5?
Top 8.
Who's your 7 in front of him?
7 in front of him? Probably now C.J. Stroud.
Already? Okay, so we'll give you Mahomes, Stroud. I'll give you Lamar Jackson.
Brock Purdy. Just kidding. No.
I think he's in that tier with Burrow and Allen.
Burrow and Allen. If you want to say that Dak is better than Burrow, it has to be because Burrow gets hurt. Okay, and not because of talent. It's one of the things where you mentioned Tyron Smith. 5 games he's going to miss. Burrow, which 4 are you going to miss, sir? Because that's going to happen. And I hate to say that because I'm an LSU fan because of my daughter. But the thing about Dak is that aside from the one season where he missed 5 games, he's been pretty durable.
And he puts up big numbers. He had a
problem with the numbers, though. A lot of it's junk numbers, man. He's the king of junk stats.
Is it junk or is it so last year they didn't have a running game, right?
Right.
They figured out Pollard couldn't take more than 10 to 15 carries a game. But he carried them to an NFC East title. I think it's more necessity. They lean on him too much. Him and Lamb. That's why they're going to get paid. What does that say? This is on Jerry.
Greg Crawford comes out and says on Jerry. They had a chance to extend Dak when the market was lower. Now he's got to compete with Trevor Lawrence's deal now.
Now to Dak's credit and to Jerry, Dak only signed a 3-year deal. He wants this cycle to keep going so he can keep going to the ATM machine, which is smart.
I mean, he learned from Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins was the first to say, you don't want to sign me to a long deal, then you're just going to have to re-up me every single time. And Dak.
Let's say, top 8. I say top 5, but we're threading the needle. He was a number 2. He was an all-pro last year.
If you were to say durability comes into a role, and you were to say that he's in the 5 or 6 range, fine.
But even stats.
But no, I'm talking about just actual.
Yeah.
The talent. Burrow's more talented, than him. I would say Dak is better than Josh Allen. Josh Allen's a fumbling machine, dude.
Interceptions, fumbles.
He's a turnover machine, and people are finally waking up to that fact. But the quarterback play, I think Herbert's overrated.
Herbert's the guy that looks great.
He's like a combine guy.
Yeah, and people can't let it go.
I think players that are better than Dak, but may not, that a lot of people don't necessarily think so, would be like Matt Stafford, even at his age right now. When Matt Stafford's healthy, dude, I mean, he's really good. Then you have some up-and-coming players like C.J. Stroud and Jordan Love coming up, and you've got some up-and-coming players that I think that
they might pass him.
You look around, and Dak is he's a good ambassador for the team. He doesn't get in trouble, right?
Yeah.
Good-looking kid. Has a Latina now for a wife.
There you go.
Or baby mama, whatever you want to call it. No, but
you got a goatee, something you couldn't do.
Yeah, I mean, I could. He just looks better in it. I look at Dak Prescott and I think to myself, I'm a Saints fan. We pay $35 million a year for Derek Carr. And if you're telling me that I could get for $20 million more, I could get Dak, I would.
Yeah,
I would. And it's kind of like when you have a good girl and she's kind of boring though. She's not exciting in the sack, but she's a good mom and all that stuff. And you look at all that, and then you go and look at that hot girl down the street, and you go, well, maybe I want to go do that instead. But you've got something good here.
But so in this scenario though, the Cowboys are. If you're a Cowboys fan, there's not even a hot girl in sight.
Right.
There's a theoretical one that they made up in their head. Well, you can just go. You can just draft one.
Yeah.
And it's so hard to draft quarterbacks.
I could just go on Match.
Yeah. It's not that easy. And for the Cowboy fans, so let's say that there's a good amount of Cowboy fans that want this to be Dak's last year. Mm-hmm. The Cowboys are going to be 10-7-ish. So you're not going to have a high draft pick.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to eat $45 million in cap space. So next year 2025 would really suck if you're moving on from this plan. Because next year you'd have Cooper Rush or Trey Lance as your starter, and then you're just going to bottom out.
Right. But the fact that you see Dak go off to the training camp for the tight ends, which was in Nashville, put on by Travis Kelce and a couple of other. You had Schoonmaker out there. You had a few tight ends from the Cowboys out there. And
he's an ambassador for
the NFL. He's an ambassador for the NFL.
He takes so much.
And then there's no running game this year.
Yeah, they're still not going to have a running game.
There's no running game this year. And then the question about CeeDee Lamb, I saw an article saying that you mentioned the reliance on Dak Prescott. Well, if you're going to rely on Dak Prescott, that means you're going to rely on CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah.
He's beyond your wide receiver one because the wide receiver room has gotten worse over there as well. The question came up on ESPN this morning. What happens if CeeDee Lamb keeps that upward trajectory this year? Again, he's not even in his prime yet, or he's getting close. He's entering it. What if he goes out and beats Megatron's numbers? What if he becomes a 2,000-yard receiver for the year? Gets 140 receptions for 2,000 yards. And at that point, he's going to look at Jerry Jones and go, Rod Tidwell style, show me the money. And Jerry Jones is going to do what? It's going to franchise tag his ass. Yeah. And I think, personal opinion, that Jerry Jones is the reason why good free agents don't go to Dallas. For the same reason why I fear that the Spurs don't get good free agents, because what the Spurs did with DeMar Carroll, what the Spurs did with Thad Young, what the Spurs did with any of their free agents that come in that are like veterans, they don't play them.
Yeah, I can see that.
They ruin their careers. And I see that with the Cowboys. I'm there going, they don't pay their guys. Not even Dak they don't pay. Yeah. Not even CD. I mean, they paid Trayvon Diggs, right? I mean, I guess they got one of their guys.
I think they pay him, but they make him. They do this weird negotiating through the media, and he uses his radio station to
105.3 The Fan.
Yeah, he manipulates stories against the Cowboys. That's why, because they do get paid eventually, but the way he treats them on the way to the paycheck is what turns people off. Your point about Lamb breaking records. I think his deal gets done first. I think his deal is easy to do because Jefferson just set the market, right?
Yeah.
And Jefferson's the best receiver if we're all talking. So I guarantee you, Lamb and the Cowboys are just negotiating how much below Jefferson should he be. Is it $1 million less a year?
Gonna be honest with you. If given the choice between CeeDee Lamb and Justin Jefferson, I think I take CD.
And that's what they're negotiating right now. But I think it gets
because
done.
CD does other things. CD runs the ball. CD will do punt returns and stuff like that. He may not have Justin Jefferson's gaudy stats, but he also doesn't have Justin Jefferson's injuries as well. So it's kind of funny because it's obviously a 1 and 1A, right?
And that's why I think the deal will get done because there's now a benchmark, and they're not going to steer too far away above it or below it. And then that will get ironed out first. Dax is interesting because of everything we just said. And Trevor Lawrence, who's nowhere near that level.
Yeah, he got the bag anyway.
He got the bag. So now Dax like, I'm way better than him. At least with Jefferson, Lamb knows he's either there, right or below, close enough. So they're negotiating pennies.
Yeah.
Should it be $1 million less a year, $2 million less a year? Should it be right on par? That's going to get done because it's an easier number. The Dak one, they've talked about 60. I think it'll end up at 60, but Lamb will get done first, in my opinion.
Mario Cavazos wanted me to get that Spencer Rattler jersey drafted by the New Orleans Saints. So,
okay,
new backup for the team.
I think he's a bust. I just saw him flame out at Oklahoma with Lincoln Riley, and
he went to South Carolina. He was fine,
Yeah,
but let's steer back over to San Antonio. You are exit 7, I believe. I'm exit 10. Whatever Ingram Road is. You went to Jay High School. I went to Holmes High School. If I was to ask you this question, because I saw this article, thank you to Candace over at MySA, who's a big follower of the show and follower of us on Twitter.
Awesome.
Candace Avila. She does great work. She posted an article from one of her colleagues there at MySA asking the question, what in Bexar County? So I'm talking about Bexar County.
Okay.
What places do you think are the most likely places to get a speeding ticket or a ticket of some sort where the cops are out there going out there to get the tickets? Because the number 1 spot surprised me.
What is it?
So what do you think the worst spot is?
To get a ticket?
Because
it's going to be any small town incorporated within the city, like
you're
Leon.
You're right on track.
Leon Valley or Alamo Heights or Lock Hill Selma is probably a good one.
Now we have people coming out and saying Selma all day, every day.
That's the worst traffic. Selma right there.
That's on 35. Like if you're in the city itself, I don't really get bothered there, but 35 from Retama Park on, man. They're going to come get you. Leon Valley has a long history of just getting people, and then they had those cameras, and then when those cameras were outlawed, they're still sending tickets to people with the cameras. But guess what? You don't have to pay them.
They're still shooting their shot, huh?
They're shooting your shot. My dad one time had a ticket from a school district, right? Because I guess he went by when they were driving, like they had the lights on. But my dad was like, "Hey, there's a median, and I'm going the other way, so I didn't know what the rules were." So it wasn't like he was passing a stopped school bus like on the same lane or whatnot, going the same way of traffic. He was like, "I'm 6 lanes away. There's a median in the way," and they sent him a ticket, right?
It's funny you say that because in my neighborhood, this is the #1 topic on the Facebook page.
Really?
Because the school bus stops right in front of our gate, but there is a cement median.
Yeah.
So half the people do stop if the bus is there, and then you'll get people posting, "You don't have to stop." And they'll post the law, they'll post the rules, and it's like the biggest topic ever.
So apparently he got a ticket for it, right? And so my dad asking me, "Hey, son, will you come check this out for me?" And I went over to his house, and they had a Zoom court session, right? And they're asking him to like raise his hand up and say an oath of whatever. Now I said an oath the other day to a judge because I was getting guardianship of my son.
Okay.
And so I know what that's like, right? And I'm looking at them going, "What seal is that behind you?" And I asked them, "What state and city are you in right now?" They're like, "We're in Oregon." I'm like, "You're in Oregon? What, are you a judge? Why are you having us do some sort of like oath, or whatever this is, attest to something?" And I said, "This is all bullshit, isn't it? Like, we don't have to pay this ticket." And I was like, so it's funny because you said it the exact way that it should have been said. They shoot their shot, hoping that you're going to pay. So this article by Maya Say talking about the worst speed traps or the most tickets in San Antonio. #1 was Helotes. And I never would have considered Helotes to be #1.
It's the new Leon Valley.
Wow, it's connected.
Well, we've all, when we were growing up, Leon Valley was kind of like the spot with all the stores, all the restaurants. The way San Antonio does, we all are moving out, and now it's Helotes.
Yeah,
and Helotes has those crazy lights at 1604 in Bandera, where you need a manual just to figure out.
Oh my God, dude! I don't even know what's going on there, and I'm sure that there was a study being done, like a simulation being done on a computer, but in actuality, correct me if I'm wrong. In actuality, what's going on here? I hit something wrong. I hit something wrong. Don't touch the computer.
You're not Joe. Don't be touching that.
What did I do wrong? What did I do wrong?
I don't know.
I think we're still on. Okay, yes, we're back on. We're back on.
That's why Joe's needed.
Yes.
Don't be touching the computer.
That's what I get. I hit fat fingers, man. That's what I get. No, but Helotes, that's scary to me because I like to go drink in Helotes, from time to time. Leon Valley, though, at least that they're there. They make themselves present visually. They're on the side of the road. They even did that thing where they put that cop car out there and no one's in there. They just want you to slow down.
Pretty smart.
But they were saying that certain areas of town that have bad reputations for tickets are actually not that bad. Hollywood Park and Chavano Park, they're like, actuality, you don't get a lot of tickets over there. It has a stigma from the 80s and 90s, but not really. But it says the worst parts are going to be Helotes, Leon Valley, Balcones Heights, which can really suck at Haktua style, and then Selma, and they were saying Alamo Heights. Some places in Alamo Heights make it rough for drivers, but they were saying the places that don't make it that bad are Terrell Hills and Hollywood Park.
Okay.
Even though Hollywood Park has a lot of people there, a lot of cops there, they don't do it a lot. But I found that to be interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be those small jurisdictions that want to make some money.
They asked the question, why are you giving any credibility to an article in MySA? Because they actually showed statistics as to the number of tickets that were given out over a 12-month period.
Okay, so they had the facts.
They actually booked it. They actually had stats, and then they did it by per driver, like number of drivers in the area. Because you might have fewer drivers, but I mean, a lot of drivers or more tickets, but fewer drivers.
Yeah.
So the odds, and then it was like the odds per like resident and stuff like that.
Okay.
So they actually backed it up with numbers as to it all. So we're not going to use the fake news on MySA.
Is there any part of town that you just refuse to drive to?
New Braunfels.
Okay.
Someone tried carjacking me in New Braunfels one time over at Landa Park back in the day.
If you had a beard, they wouldn't have tried it.
That's true. Part of town that I avoid Balcones Heights.
Okay.
I think Balcones Heights is basically basically an area where they're trying to trap you. I don't feel right there for some reason. Like I go to Wonderland Mall. By the way, they're revitalizing Wonderland Mall. They have the new theater there. They're putting up new Candace Avila of MySA was writing articles about the new restaurants that are going in there. I would like for them to revitalize that because that used to be a good place, man. Back in the day when it was Crossroads and it was a decent mall. That whole area, but with the second that shut down, that whole area there from Fredericksburg and 410, going from Graham Central Station all the way over about a mile and a half deep into 410, it just got there's nothing to do there.
Yeah, I will say at Wonderland Mall, there's a lot of specialty shops, which is kind of cool. There's an old, not that this is a commercial for Wonderland, but you can find vinyl. You can. There's a shirt maker there from San Antonio, so it's very specialty items. But you're right; it's not a thriving mall at any.
I mean that's the area there where you go from the mall itself into the stores outward. That's where you get quinceañera dresses, man. That's that's what it's for.
They'll have horror conventions, horror movie conventions, things like that. It's pretty cool, but
Very good.
And then half the mall's empty.
Dude,
of no stores. I mean, no stores yet.
I went to one time there. They had inside there years ago, and I'm saying years ago. This is when the mall was still somewhat happening.
Mm-hmm.
They had an MMA facility there.
Okay.
Where you could train for MMA, and there were people there who would fight. And I had my friend Chris would fight MMA, and he invited me there one time to go work out, and I was like, all right, cool. I'm going to show up over there.
He just wanted to kick your ass.
Well, he goes, well, they asked you to do something, just do something. And they're like, we're going to try to pin you down. And they're like grappling, right? And like, do you want to try it? And like, these are some of our experienced fighters. We'll be light on you, whatever. And so tall tale. So they pinned me down, right? They put me in this position. They're like, we're going to say go. And then you just go. And Michael, just whatever you do, just try not to be pinned. And then I'm like, okay. And these are experienced people trying to grapple with me. And, they're trying to contort me in different directions. And I'm kind of squirming out. And then all of a sudden I find this one guy and I like flip him down. And like, what do I do now? And I like pin him. And I was like 1, 2, 3. Like, what the only like WWE stuff.
Where's Earl Hebner at? We need Earl.
Yeah. So it was the funniest thing because you had all these guys trying to grapple to pin me down in a grappling position and they couldn't do it, which is why when I was at St. Mary's University during Oyster Bake, that guy had no chance because once I got on top.
You're lying.
I might have had facial hair that day.
You have to be a real G to win a fight at Fiesta.
Dude.
Like, Nick.
That wasn't like, it was a 10-7 scorecard. It only went one round, dude. It was Mike Tyson versus Peter McNeely. I annihilated that guy.
I don't know if I believe that story.
You touch my wife. That's what happens.
You get crazy?
Huh?
You get crazy?
I went from Bruce Banner to the Hulk. I say that because I know the reference. I've never seen the Hulk. I don't even know what that means.
Just watching. Get mad at
you. Who said I worked at a store at Wonderland Mall across from the dance studio back in the day? Man, I loved it.
Somebody said they worked at Montgomery Ward.
Oh my God, Montgomery Ward, dude. Those are all stores. Remember Best Products? Dude, I used to love Best on 410 and Ingram back in the day. It was kind of like going out towards where Joe's Volcano used to be. That was like a place where you'd see something, but you couldn't buy it. It was like a showroom. and you go, I want D7 and whatever, and it would come in like a conveyor belt. It was like IKEA before IKEA, except it was for random things like stereos and for VCRs.
Really? I don't know if I remember that.
Best Products was good. Dude, back in the day, I know a lot of you guys were like really into solo serve. We were a Mervin's family, dude.
My mom was a big Mervin's person. My mom would go to Mervin's all the time. The one over there on 410.
Yeah.
She probably kept that place in business longer than it should have been.
You know what I hate, man? I get my credit report, and my first credit card ever was K Jewelers because I had a girlfriend and I had a K Jewelers.
They're gonna say Mervin's.
$300, $300, and I remember getting her this necklace and this thing, and $300. I mean, for somebody who was making $4.25 an hour, I mean that's at Pineapple County Fair. You know,
you worked there?
Yeah, I worked there for 3 summers, man.
Dang, that's pretty cool. I just like Pineapple.
Dude, I was in the game room because all my I was 80% of the time I was in the game room, right? Because I like the air conditioning. I'm an indoor dog, right? But the other 20% was I was in the games up at the top, you know, and the games where they had the big Mickey Mouse phone and the big it was like a leopard plush that was like this big
with the ring toss.
Yeah, those were impossible to win games, right? But because I worked there, guess what I did for a living? I would just play, you know, I was just play. Dude, the one day I got fired, I was the only person that didn't steal from the place, but I was the one who got fired for suspicion of theft. Everyone else was stealing. That's the reason why it doesn't exist anymore, right? They hired me later on because they realized it was BS. I was like, oh, I'm fired? Okay, cool. Here's my shirt. I went over there with $20 and I won all their big prizes. I just wanted the snake thing. And I said, anybody else want? They had to put up signs after me because I was like, anybody else want these? Pay me. So I was sitting there making money. These guys coming up to me, giving me $20. I'm like, can I just keep the rest? Like, if you give me that phone for $20, yes. $3 worth of tries, boom, here's $17. And I was just winning prize after prize after prize over there. I took it to the man. Stick it to the man.
It's your fault then.
You know why I got fired? I'm gonna tell you why I got fired. We had this old lady who worked there. I don't know why. There's a bunch of 17-year-olds and a 75-year-old woman there. I don't know why. You know, like Popovich looked out of place. But anyway, she was $2 short on her bag. So we would carry around these bags that had $200 in there. And people would come by and go, hey, can I get change for a dollar, change for a 5, 10, whatever. And as opposed to them going around and to a cashier, we were like a teller, right? Yeah. And then we'd help people with games and whatever. And I was the lead that day. And she came badgering and crying, and I hated her. She was so old. And she came up to me and she was like, Michael, I'm going to get fired. I'm like, why? And she goes, I'm $2 short in my bag. I must have given somebody the wrong change. I was like, you're not going to get fired over $2. It'll be fine. She badgered me the entire day. And after a while, I looked at her and I said, if you are that worried about it, just go take 8 quarters from the machine and leave me alone. That's all I said.
You told her to steal. That's what you did.
They said that you could take 8 quarters from the machine. And how often have you done that? I was like, I haven't. Fired me for stealing, right? Or suspicion of theft, because you must have done it before. Because if you thought it, you know. I'm like, dude, I said, first of all, no. Secondly, everyone else here is stealing except me. Whatever. They hired me back. Then I had my Target era over there on Bandera and 410 back in the day. That was a good time, see it.
Sam wants to know if you were the one that kicked him out.
Might have been, dude. Might have been. No, I was more of a lover over there. I was more of an ambassador. They paid me.
He did, Sam. He kicked you out.
They paid me to learn all the games so that I could teach people how to play the games.
Okay. So
it wasn't bad, dude. That little racing machine that they had there, if I could buy it right now, I could. Dude, I've got that little hockey machine over there turning into a game room.
Look at this. Pastor Pat over here.
Pastor Pat. That's it, baby. That's it. Let me know if your wife knows anybody. Anyway.
Are there any single ladies on YouTube for you?
Single ladies? Yeah, they're going to be like, yeah, Demon Mike is out there. Thanks for being on today, but man,
it was fun.
You know, it's fun because we do the show and 916 strong. Hit the like button on the way out. And what's going on in your world, man? Anything to advertise or pimp?
Just Housemasters San Antonio. It'll be up and running next week for home inspections. Give me a call.
Very nice. So this is for houses that are like being purchased or sold, or
Usually purchase if you're purchasing a house, or if you bought a new house and your warranty is coming up and you want to get it inspected to make sure that there's nothing wrong with it before the builder, takes your warranty out. So
okay. And what discount do they get if they say Alamo City Sportscast? No. Okay. Cool. just play. No, very, very nice. Thank you also to MCS General Contractor. I posted that video yesterday because again, the whole point of me doing the sidewalk was what happens when it rains hard.
that's right.
We got an inch of rain over here yesterday, and it looked perfectly fine. It looked very, very good.
Awesome.
Don't forget to subscribe to Jeff Garcia from Locked On Spurs and Ken's 5 at Jeff G Spurzo. I'm going to be on today's topics. We have questions coming in from Spurs fans asking certain things, and the big thing that we're talking about today is what can the Spurs learn from the Boston Celtics. We briefly touched on it today, but that's on Locked On Spurs. And I recorded that before I shaved this morning. So
yes, Mario.
For the well-groomed John Dyer, I'm the clean-shaven Michael Jimenez. This is the Alamo City Sportscast. Thank you for being on. Hit the like button on the way out. Don't forget to like and subscribe and to share. See you guys tomorrow.